Anti-human Hillary Clinton is ranting about on women having babies and just telling lies again, of course, while her mouth is moving. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is a Monday afternoon wrap-up where I'm going to give you boom, 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 like 10, 12 stories here, just a ton of news. I have too much to cover, so I have to blast through it in one episode. We're going to start with Hillary lying to you. Subscribe.
As I posted the other day, this very blatant effort to basically send a message, most exemplified by Vance and Musk and others, that, what we really need from you women are more children. And what that really means is you should go back to doing what you were born to do, which is to produce more children. And they are talking about, cash benefits for the more children you have. This has been tried, by the way, in other countries, and it has not worked. Or medals if you have 6 children, while they're contemplating cutting Medicaid, while they have no interest in paid family leave or funding quality childcare. They're cutting Head Start. I mean, you go down the list of all the programs that support child rearing and the care of children and create, some safety net for women who are in the workforce, the formal workforce, as well as, raising children. So this is another performance about concerns they allegedly have for family life. But if you had read...
Hillary, the people want to know, who are you wearing? You always do those fashion questions. Who are you wearing? She's wearing Pepto-Bismol today, ladies and gentlemen.
The Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, despite Trump saying he knew nothing about it, if you had read it, it's all in there. It's all in there. Return to,
back to 2025.
The family, the nuclear family.
Oh, return to the nuclear family. Hillary, you're dressed up. You look like a pancreas.
Return to being a Christian nation.
Oh, yeah.
Return to, producing a lot of children.
Terrible.
Which is sort of odd because the people who produce the most children in our country are immigrants, and they...
Oh, yeah, and you hate them. Why have a bunch of little brown kids running around, Hillary? Hillary's going, I know, you can pick our fruit. You can clean my house. You can be my nanny. You can go up on the roof. You can replace the roof tiles on the roof, Pepito. Yeah, those dang immigrants having so many kids. Hillary is against the idea. And she keeps saying women just going back to what they were naturally put here to do, to have kids. Yes, Hillary, it's natural. It's what people do. Look at it. Every cell in your body tells the story of how you're prepared to reproduce. A ton of your organs, in fact, all the organs that make you a woman, are designed to reproduce.
You want to deport them. So none of this adds up. But, one of the...
Hold on. Just because I want to deport kids doesn't mean I don't want to have them. Just because I want them deported doesn't mean I want them murdered. That's what your party does to the unborn. In fact, you don't even do it just to the immigrants. You do it to your own citizens, to your own black constituents in New York. 50% of unborn black babies will not make it. They'll be chosen to be got rid of in New York. 50% of blacks. What do you call it when a party that used to be in the Klan tries to remove 50% of an ethnicity? Oh, yeah, it's called genocide.
The reasons why our economy did so much better than comparable advanced economies across the world is because we actually had a replenishment, because we had a lot of immigrants, legally and undocumented, who had a, larger than normal, by American standards, family. So
the only form of profit that the Democrats ever even heard of that they're for is when it's illegals having baby. All other forms of profit, people making money, they demonize you as being, you're the evil rich.
This is just another one of their, make America great again by returning to the lifestyles and the economic arrangements of not just the 1950s. I mean, let's keep going back as far as we can.
And it's like the year 700 AD. Look at Hillary. She's like, we hate babies. She's going like, babies should only be here if you're going to make them into sausage. This is like the Hansel and Gretel witch. Who hates babies? Democrats. She's making this with a straight face. When you see like a mother cradling her baby And it's just a beautiful thing to see a mom and a baby looking at each other. Hillary's like, man, look at Bill Clinton in the background on this one. This guy has been relegated to a personal hell having to live with this woman. Look at her. He looks disgusted. This is the best sentence, by the way. Bill Clinton, he may have been impeached, but he never did time. But in his own way, this is him doing time. Ew.
And these people will stop at nothing. Yes, the Russians helped them last time. The
Russians
are helping them now. And you cover the White House. The White House has said, don't brief the Congress.
What Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, are they in on the conspiracy to lie to you?
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide.
Sure.
People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
That's a suicide. Epstein committed suicide. Okay, can we put this to rest yet, guys? Or we're going to be talking about this 40 years from now, like the second shooter of JFK. Are we going to deny the moon landing? Is 9/11 an inside job? Is the earth flat? There's Kash Patel. He's an authority who knows. He's trying to relieve you going, he wasn't murdered in prison. He killed himself there.
He killed himself.
Dan Bongino, you sell out. Who's paying you? The Mossad? Did the Jews give you a call? That's what all the conspiracy theorists say. And sometimes everything is not a giant conspiracy. So I just want to clear this one out. These are two big time guys who would know, saying Epstein, it was not a conspiracy. No one murdered him. They think he killed himself.
Again, you want me to get, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
There you go. He saw the whole file. I have not seen the whole file, but that makes three now because that includes Trump. Or was it Tucker Carlson? Did Epstein kill himself?
Do you think Epstein killed himself sincerely?
I don't know. I don't know what Barr said about it either. I have no idea what he said. What did he say? He killed himself, probably?
He said he killed himself. And that
But there are those people, there are many people, I think you're one of them, right? But a lot of people think that he was killed. He knew a lot on a lot of people.
He was killed.
And Trump said he had a lot of reasons to kill himself. I think he did. They would know. Trump knows, Bongino knows, Kash Patel knows. So this is kind of my you guys know I'm against conspiracies. And on this one, this is yet another public expert saying, nope. Now here's Meghan McCain. I know she's not a favorite of any of you because she's the daughter of John McCain, on Joe Biden's cancer and kind of, do we have compassion on this? Are we going to politicize this? How are we going to talk about it? She's on the All In podcast. Watch.
You and your family have a long history with the Bidens, and you and I have talked many times about how he shouldn't have run in 19 and shouldn't have run in 24. And so the whole thing is, you and I know many, many people who saw the decline.
She tells one story of when her dad was dying of cancer. That's John McCain was dying of cancer. She said Joe Biden came up to her, nothing creepy at all, totally sincere, just saying, I really mourn for you and your dad. And she's just saying, just believe him for a second. Okay. That was a real moment. Does everything have to be politics? But she doesn't believe him. She's still like done with him and done with Tapper. But now she says this one I find very interesting. Here you go. I don't know if it's just my bias or my background, meaning her parents, how they raised her, but I don't want to hear anything else about Biden's health cover-up, the tell-all book, interviews with staff, etc. Let the Biden family be in peace right now. This is all just so sad and imprudent. That is, she's saying that demands prudence for us to speak respectfully of a man who just found out he has cancer. Now, I'm going to disagree a bit. I agree with having all the compassion you want about Biden suffering from cancer, but the release of this information was political. That is, they do not care about his mourning or his cancer. And if they wanted you to pray for him, they would have told you about it 10 months ago when they all knew, probably even 10 years ago, and they didn't tell you. So the only reason why they released this week Has nothing to do with your wanting you to pray for Biden or have sympathy for him. It was only released yesterday because the story was getting traction on the massive media cover up of his decline. So they go, look, we're going to, throw this one out there, and then we'll pressure people, which we're seeing from Dave Axelrod and all the political pundits are pressuring you to not talk about the cover up. And instead, you are only allowed to show compassion for his cancer. And I disagree with that because normal people have compassion for an old man with cancer. That's normal. Meghan McCain, you should have compassion for him. It means you're normal. I have compassion and sadness for his cancer. That makes me normal. The Democrats and the Marxist evil people know that you and I are normal and we have compassion. And that's why they're using this. They know that normal people have compassion. So now they're going, we really should set aside this. It's pure politics, guys, to use that against you. They did the same thing with USAID. When you go in and look up fraud for USAID, they come out and go, you can't remove fraud from USAID. You're going to make this children starve. They hide behind moral things that normal people think. Remember when the prostitute went and had this expensive perfume and pours it on Jesus' feet, and she's weeping and everything, and Judas and some of the disciples go like, hey, that perfume could have been sold and we could have given the money to the poor. And Jesus goes, no, this woman gets it. She's doing something very good. You can always use compassion and external good works to make yourself look good and start calling other people names. But it's in this case, when they do this to Meghan McCain and to you and I to make you feel bad for going after the cover-up, it's politics. I know they don't care about them. I know they don't care about your prayers. When they say pray and we're mourning, whatever, they all knew. Obama knew, Kamala knew, they all knew. All of us knew Biden was infirmed in some way. That doesn't change now that you have an actual diagnosis. This is all a political scam, and I have something to say to these people, including Christians that might say, hey, Doug, show a little compassion. How dare you? Back off, buddy. Back off. You're a sucker. I'm not a sucker. I can care about Biden's cancer without falling for this media cover-up, which is some kind of a disgusting blasphemy. Here's Trump tearing into Kamala Harris for all the celebrities they did fundraising for them. How much did Kamala Harris pay Bruce Springsteen for his poor performance during her campaign for president? Why did he accept that money if he's such a fan of hers? Isn't that a major and illegal campaign contribution? What about Beyonce, whatever her name is? And how much went to Oprah and Bono? I am going to call for a major investigation into this matter. Candidates aren't allowed to pay for endorsements, which is what Kamala did under the guise of paying for entertainment. So they would pretend to pay for entertainment, and then really it was a payment for an endorsement. This is a sham. Speaking of shams, here's Mike Pence. I have done positive videos on Mike Pence. I'm going to politely disagree with him here because I think he's also kind of a bit of a Christian sucker. Here we go. The insufferable Mike Pence continues his Trump bashing tour, lashes out at Trump for saying America is out of the nation building business while in Saudi Arabia. That's what Trump said in Saudi Arabia. Pence says it's a disservice to a generation of Americans who wore the uniform. That is false.
But Kristen, I've never been a fan of American presidents criticizing America on foreign soil.
Okay, and don't say Trump did it because that's not what he did. And you're criticizing a president who was on foreign soil. There's also a precedent where you don't criticize your boss afterwards. Stay quiet.
And to have the president in Saudi Arabia questioning America's global war on terror.
That's not, okay, so that's how Pence is spinning it. Now, a lot of people in hindsight, including many on the right, Pence, look in hindsight at what happened in Afghanistan and Iraq and said, and Syria and Lebanon, and said, we overstepped our and Vietnam or Korea, and say, you know what? We didn't do so good with our nation building. That's all Trump said. He did not specifically criticize our soldiers while overseas. He criticized the philosophy of what is called nation building. I don't have a problem with the government building nations. It appears to be really hard to do, if not impossible, because the promise was we would install a constitutional government and elections, and you do it in a place like Iraq and Afghanistan. And guess what? They're made of different stuff. It doesn't work.
And describing it as nation building and interventionist, I thought was a disservice to generations of Americans who.
Wrong. It is nation building and interventionist. It literally is. So to call it that, Trump is actually telling the truth. And you're saying he can't call it that.
Wore the uniform, who took the fight to our enemy, in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Particularly giving that speech in Saudi Arabia, where 15 of the 19 9/11 hijackers hailed from, and not including Osama bin Laden, I thought was unfortunate.
No, you're way out of line. By the way, my son is just now looking into he's signing up for the military, my youngest. So more news on that. So I at least have skin in the game. Okay. But Pence, I have no idea what kind of win he thinks he's going to get here. He's so far out of politics. Who even cares what he thinks? But I just thought it was really weird that he found it to be an opportunist place. He must be getting a lot of money for opposing Trump or something. Here's Scott Bessent on the GDP.
There is the potential growth of the debt, but what's more important is that we grow the economy faster. So what we've seen under the past 4 years, and what we inherited, I inherited 6.7% deficit to GDP, which was the highest deficit when we were not at war, not in a recession. So we've been trying to bring down the spending, and we are going to grow the revenue side. So we are going to grow the GDP faster than the debt grows, and that will stabilize the debt to GDP, which even Secretary Yellen and I agree is the most important number.
This actually ties back to the big, beautiful bill, because a lot of deficit hawks, the Freedom Caucus, are saying there's not enough debt reduction, paying it down. Trump put a lot of goodies in there, like no taxes on Social Security benefits, things like that. And Scott Bessent goes, you know what? If we can just grow the GDP to offset the rising debt, you can stop the rising debt. That's a different strategy. That's something that the Freedom Caucus doesn't think about, because all they see is, where's the cuts? Where's the cuts to the debt? And they're going to oppose that bill in the House and Senate. Thomas Massey and Rand Paul, the purists, and they're getting flack right now from Chip Roy. And I'm saying, you just gotta, eat it, guys. Give Trump a win. That's what the mandate is for. Now, here is Scott Bessent on another subject.
Let's turn to trade, because that's obviously where there's been a lot of focus.
Oh, it's Jake Tapper, the America's biggest liar. He is now famous for being the biggest hypocrite liar, for writing a book that's a tell-all about media's cover-up of Biden, and he doesn't have a single chapter on himself.
President Trump just put 150 countries on notice that their tariffs are about to go higher in the next few weeks if they don't reach a trade deal with the U.S. How exactly will you decide what those new tariff rates will be? Will they be what was previously announced on April 2nd, so-called Liberation Day? And when will they actually go into effect?
So, Jake, we have a 90-day pause. There are 18 important trading partners, probably another 20 strong relationships. President Trump has put them on notice that if you do not negotiate in good faith, that you will ratchet back up to your April 2nd.
Tariffs are coming back, ladies and gentlemen. They better go and cut a deal with Trump, or you're going to get tariffed again. I'm ready for a second round. They have to see him raise those tariffs again to make them stand down and pressure them into good faith deals, not fake deals, real deals with America. Our favorite trading partners are all going to come in because they want to be first in the queue to open markets back up with America. This is a brilliant strategy. I support it. I applaud Scott Bessent and Trump's work on this. Are you okay? Can you tighten your belt a little more as we get through this to give Trump his mandate? Tell me this also on the budget. Do you agree with the fiscal conservatives that we should oppose Trump, that the budget, that they should be voting his big, beautiful bill down in order to cut the debt? Because that's what's happening with the tiny handful of fiscal conservatives. And we count ourselves as fiscal conservatives. I'm only saying tactics just means you don't always have to get your way this time around. Let me know what you guys think in the chat below. Welcome to the Quad Club. If you watched all 4 videos, leave a comment below. Let us know you're there. I'm Doug in Exile. God bless you.